Hey, good morning. Please sit down. Secretary Cesar Purisima, BSP Governor Mando Tetanco Jr., Mr. Tony Shale, Mr. Enrique Rizon, business executives, local and foreign investors, fellow workers in government, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. Again, good morning. When I found out that it has only been 11 months since I last attended this forum, I was surprised. The year that was certainly felt much longer. After all, since we last met, so much has happened to alter the country's economic fortunes. Perhaps I can begin by giving you a report card of sorts. Just 15 days after our last encounter, the Fitch Ratings Agency gave the Philippines its first investment grade rating from a major credit ratings agency in its history. A little more than a month later, Standard& and Poor's followed suit, and later in the year, Moody's did the same. So in the short span of time since I saw you last, it has become unanimous the Philippines is indeed investment grade. In that period, our economy performed in an equally stellar manner. Despite the disasters that befell our country in 2013, the Philippines still posted one of the fastest growth rates in Asia at 7.2%. We have also continued defying expectations on several measures of competitiveness. For instance, we continued our climb up the World Economic Forum's global competitiveness rankings, reaching 59th place. This means that over the last 3 years, we have improved by a total of 26 spots. Furthermore, we recorded a marked improvement in the World Bank and International Finance Corporation's Ease of Doing Business report, moving up 30 places in just 1 year. The Heritage Foundation also bumped us up in its 2014 Index of Economic Freedom, placing us 89th out of 178 countries, an eighth-notch improvement from the previous year. On top of this, after a 2013 survey of companies in Asia and Oceania, the Japan External Trade Organization said that the Philippines is the second most profitable among ASEAN 5 countries, trailing only Thailand. This is particularly impressive considering that in 2010, we were dead last. These developments are unimpeachable proof. The large-scale turnaround of the Philippine economy is gaining even greater momentum. The days when we were called the sick man of Asia are becoming a distant memory. Now we are seeing so many international organizations and publications expressing optimism about our future, and they have already referred to us as, I quote, Asia's bright spot and as the new, again I quote, new Asian tiger. At this point, it is natural for any forward-thinking individual to wonder, what is next for the Philippines? After turning the corner, securing its distinction as a vanguard of reform and stability, and sustaining its pace of growth, what does the future hold for one of the world's emerging economies? I believe that now is a good opportunity to talk about our plans for the future in the short, medium, and long term. Our administration's good governance efforts have equipped us with the wherewithal to truly take care of our countrymen, even in the face of great challenge. We were able to give and continue to give help to all those affected by the seemingly endless stream of disasters towards the end of 2013. There was the Zamboanga siege, the Bohol earthquake, and Typhoon Santi. Typhoon Yolanda, which came soon after, was an even more severe challenge. It affected 44 out of our 81 provinces. Thousands of people lost their lives, many more were displaced. So many of our countrymen lost their homes and their sources of livelihood. Naturally, continuing our rehabilitation efforts is our number one priority. We are devoting our resources to guarantee not the mere subsistence of the survivors, but their genuine recovery. We want to empower them to take hold of their destinies once more. And to do that, we must give them the opportunity to work for their personal advancement and for the advancement of their families and communities. This is how we approach the task of relief and recovery. It is not simply about distributing goods or putting up shelter. It involves coming up with strategies to revitalize the economies in the local communities, to create jobs and to encourage productivity in these areas in the soonest possible time. This is the idea behind our government's campaign to build back better. The damage wrought by Yolanda has only motivated us to take an even more proactive approach. It is an approach that goes beyond restoring normalcy and regaining the vibrancy of the past. We are building more resilient houses and communities in safer places. And we are rebuilding damaged infrastructure to make them not only sturdier, but in tune with the needs of an evolving economy. The end in sight? To have these communities surpass how they were before Yolanda, whether as a place to live, a place to work, or a place to set up a business. Through our people's continued support and participation, and through the aid of our friends in the international community, we have been able to make progress in this regard and respond to our people's immediate needs. We are hopeful that moving forward, you will still be there to help us. The road ahead promises many challenges, but we are convinced that with the backing of our people and with the right partners in the private sector, we will prevail. We will complete the rehabilitation and improvement of the affected communities sooner rather than later, and all of you will see those areas brimming with more opportunity than ever before. Excuse me. Our rehabilitation efforts dovetail seamlessly into our plans for the economy in the medium and long term. After all, the industries we have focused on growing these past few years rely heavily on the affected areas, whether it is agriculture, infrastructure, tourism, or manufacturing. I assure you, even as we focus on building back better, we have not dropped the ball when it comes to our most vital industries. In fact, our key industries made giant strides in 2013. One example, we made the commitment to revive manufacturing early on in the administration, and we have delivered on that promise. In 2013, the manufacturing sector grew by 10.5% and was one of the main factors in building on our economic momentum. Likewise, we are significantly increasing our infrastructure spending from 304 billion pesos in 2013 to nearly 400 billion in 2014. We have also taken steps forward in tourism, making it more convenient for tourists to come and experience just how fun it is in the Philippines. Apart from liberalizing the aviation industry back in 2011, in the past year, we regained permission for our flagship carrier to fly directly to and from Europe. We are likewise pursuing the construction of 3 new major airports and are looking to rehabilitate more than 50 others in strategic areas. In agriculture, we are looking to stimulate growth, especially after some of our progress was stifled by the disasters of the past year. The plan to continue developing irrigation mechanisms and agricultural infrastructure with an eye on creating a more dynamic synergy between our farmers, the markets, and industries in their milieu. These, among others, have opened the floodgates of opportunity in our priority sectors. We are fully intent on keeping up the pace of our progress. Despite our early success, we are still making a push to meet the targets we have laid out. For example, even as we welcome 4.7 million international tourists in 2013, we are committed to making a run at our 2016 target of 10 million international tourists. We are likewise itching to improve the performance of our agricultural sector, which grew only 1.1% last year. I invite all of you here to consider working with us in accelerating the growth of these sectors. There are members of my cabinet present here today, including Finance Secretary Purisima, who I imagine you are fond of since you awarded him Finance Minister of the Year in 2012. And I am certain that they are eager to talk with you about all these opportunities. This is a time when all our efforts to keep the dynamo of progress engaged are doubly important. According to population projections by the United Nations, the Philippines will hit a demographic sweet spot starting in 2015. In simple terms, this means that a large portion of our people will be hitting working age. On average, hitting such a sweet spot has led to a 10-year period of 7.3% yearly growth. So one can only imagine the possibilities for us, considering our workers are renowned for their resilience, creativity, and loyalty. As we hit this sweet spot, it becomes even more vital. We must cement the reforms we have made and make certain that we extend our aim of uninterrupted growth from years to decades, and hopefully even to generations. One way of doing this is pursuing laws that will keep our business environment conducive to growth. This is why our administration is supporting the passage of bills that will help foster such an environment, such as amendments to the Build, Operate, Transfer law. Our intention is clear: to create smoother working conditions between the private sector and the government, which will help government consistently harness your efficiencies as we all engage in the communal task of nation building. We are also making sure that as a large chunk of our population hits working age, they will have the wherewithal to take advantage of the opportunities that arise. This is why, since we took office, we have increased the capacities of our Department of Education and our Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, increasing their budgets by 75 and 77% respectively. This ensures that when our children go to school, they will have suitably sized classrooms, tables, chairs, and materials to accompany them in their pursuit of knowledge, and that when they graduate, they will be properly equipped to take the jobs that are available. It also sends a resounding message to all potential investors. If you invest in the Philippines, human capital will be the least of your worries. But as we talk about the performance of our reforms, I also feel compelled to add, as much as we measure the confidence of investors in our country in fundamentals and policies, as a public servant, I must point out that there is another factor we must pay attention to. It is the self-esteem and morale of our citizenry. Not long ago, our people had very low expectations of their country, their government, and even themselves. Over the past 3.5 years, however, we have shown them what it feels like to have a government that actually works for them, a government that does not break past promises and, in fact, under-promises and over-delivers. Our Department of Education is a perfect example. When we came into office, our backlog in classrooms was at 66,800. We looked at our budget and saw that every year we could only afford to fund 8,000 classrooms. This meant that over the course of our 6 years in office, we would only be able to build 48,000. Not to mention, we had to find enough land to put up all those classrooms, which was no easy task. Nevertheless, Education Secretary Brother Armin Luistro got to work. He promised that by the end of 2013, he would be able to build enough classrooms to erase the backlog. When the deadline came, he was happy to report that he was able to build not 66,800 classrooms, but 66,813. Along the way, he also raised our backlog in books, which was at 62 million, and our backlog in chairs, which was at 2.5 million. Going beyond expectations had become so common in our administration that I sometimes joke that some of my cabinet members are becoming very erratic. They keep giving me targets, but they almost always end up exceeding them. So I guess they are hedging their promises. It goes without saying that this has had a tremendously positive effect on our national psyche. The Filipino has recovered his pride and has become even more determined to exhibit his full potential to the entire world. Perhaps this is the single greatest guarantee that our reforms will outlast our term in office and perhaps our lifetimes. The Filipino people have grown empowered. They have rediscovered how valuable they are to the country. They take pride in their work and they have regained the capacity to demand excellence from their government. This is the lasting legacy we want to leave, and this is the legacy we will continue working for. A Filipino people revitalized who will never again tolerate mediocrity, who will never again allow any leader to lead them away from the straight path. As we continue showing them the profound, tangible impact of a government that embodies the spirit of public service, we know that we are building a more capable country, one that is always motivated and empowered to propel itself to greater heights. As our people continue to rewrite the story of the Philippines, from the apathy of the past to the dynamism of the present, from our previous fumbles to the firm resolve that is propelling us towards a more promising future, I invite all of you to take a larger role here, to be present as our people pursue the permanence of our prosperity on the road to becoming an economy and a country greater than ever before. Opportunities abound, and I, along with my people, am excited to have you alongside us as we tread the path to our shared prosperity. Thank you. Good day.